G'day and welcome to Brave Tarot. If you're here, there's a message inside of this video for you, and you have arrived in this space because you are brave enough to receive an honest reading instead of being lied to by your tarot readers. So today, I have another slightly educational reading. As usual, this reading is for a person who is a perfectionist, an overthinker, maybe a late bloomer in life. Maybe you've lived many lives in one, and now there's something that is more true to your heart that you're ready to express into the world, but it feels like crunch time, and you're worried that you're running out of time, and your thoughts are plaguing you. Maybe you're wondering if you should go back to the life that you were trying to quit. Maybe you've got one foot out the door. Today, Spirit wants to talk to you about something that we've been focusing on this week, which is the mechanical nature of the mind, or the mechanics of the mind. So in earlier readings this week, I've been talking about how the brain, or the creation of thoughts, is less an emanation of truth than it is an emanation of signal or feeling state. And when your mind churns these thoughts, it's very important to always understand that the mind is mechanical, and it is fed by these chemical impulses, like your diet and how well you are treating your body, giving yourself enough rest, so that the thoughts are in line with your spirit. But don't get the thoughts confused with your spirit. And today I've pulled 4 cards: creativity, choice, rest, and ice. And the message is really, really clear. And it is that you're being encouraged to utilize this mechanism of the mind in alignment with your creativity, such that you can produce creatively the way that your brain produces creatively, right? So if your brain is like an infinite churning factory of arbitrary thoughts that pull you and they seem to mean a lot to you, but if you can get yourself into the mindset that these are just passing, fleeting thoughts, or the thoughts themselves aren't relevant so much as the nature of the mind that will forever be churning. Like, it will never stop. You can't stop yourself from thinking. If anyone tries to tell you that, like, if you think that's the aim of meditation, you've got the wrong guidance, because that will never happen. You're just diverting your thoughts into different thought forms and natures, and aligning them more with the speed of your spirit. But that's out of the scope of today's reading. So what I'm seeing is that you need to switch on your intuition with regards to the instinct to rest. And I know this is crazy, particularly because a lot of the readings on this channel are about resting, taking care of yourself, and admitting to yourself that you are exhausted. But what I'm saying is that there's kind of 2 channels of rest. There's the kind of rest that I've been speaking about on this channel, which you do need and deserve, which is resting the spirit, resting your soul, and letting yourself off the hook, to stop beating yourself up and trying to rush yourself to be on a different timeline in life, which is really just punishment, or resentment towards your past self for what you didn't know back then. There's that rest that you do need, which is self-care. It's relaxation. It can be found inside of fitness and eating right and not multitasking. These are the kinds of body rest in category 1 that are very necessary. But then there's rest number 2, which gets confused when you're in this kind of fight or flight mode that you've been in for so many years. You start to think that resting from creativity is the kind of rest you need, because you can't comprehend resting in the other way, in the other category that I stated, you avoid the thing that you know you want and need to create, even though it feels difficult. It feels difficult to find that compulsion to create when you are exhausted. But you need to understand that on the other side of this type of creation that is an emanation of your spirit, this is the thing that you've been afraid to create, the thing that you thought wasn't monetizable, that album, that painting, that YouTube channel or vlog or podcast, is that kind of thing. The personal creation, you need to understand that when you see that on the other side, you're going to feel energized by seeing your own spirit created in the work. It's literally going to create the rest that you're finding hard to do, because it creates this positive feedback loop where you see yourself as capable and in momentum and having achieved something, because there's a rhythm and you see yourself in the creation. So Spirit really wants you to see that there's two different types of rest, and you need to be really disciplined with yourself that you're not getting the two confused. It's like you need to have a checklist of all the things that are in the positive category of rest, the type of rest that is harder to cultivate for yourself because you have lots of work to do. It's the kind of thing on this checklist you'd have 1 hour before bed, I do not look at screens, and I need to be really stern with myself about that. Or when I wake up, I do 10 minutes of breath work, even though it's really boring and I don't want to, right? It's that kind of thing. And then you need to make sure that you're getting those out of the way so that you have this tiny little bit of fuel that you have in your tank in order to create the thing that really is yours. And once you commence will be the biggest hurdle, because your mind will start to trick you into thinking that, the creation that you're making is not aligned, or it's taking energy from you, or it's wasting your time and it's not going to lead to anything. And how could you possibly create in the state that you're in? You need more rest in order to be aligned enough to create. That's what your mind is going to tell you. But this is where the ice card comes in. And you need to apply that same mentality that you have towards your thoughts as mechanical and practical, that they don't have any true essence to them. They're just a churning process that will never stop. You need to apply that kind of coldness to your creation during this phase. And I don't mean that as the creation itself or the way you feel about the creation itself. I mean it about how you feel about the process of putting your creation out there. So this is like if you start a YouTube channel, you know that these days you have to create shorts. You have to put shorts out every day when you first start a YouTube channel to make it grow. And you might feel like that is really self-indulgent and it's wasting your energy and time. But you need to distance yourself from the product, and you need to you need to see the act of putting the product out there as different from the product itself. That's the absolute crux of this reading. So it's kind of like business versus soul work. They can both be in there, but you need to see that the second you put it out there, it's business. It's not soul work anymore. You can keep however you feel about it to yourself, but in order to be able to capably continue creating, you need to see the output as just a monotonous mechanical churn. Does that make sense? It took me a little while to get there in this reading, but I feel like I've been circling the same thing for the whole 8 minutes now. So I'm just going to leave it there. Separate the soul of the creation from the putting out of the creation and see them as two different acts, and know that you must commit to the putting out of the creation, because that is what is going to feed your soul the energy that you so desperately need right now. So in one way, I'm telling you not to rest when it comes to creativity. So that is the end of today's reading. If it resonates, check out my one-to-one readings in the link below. If you follow this channel, you're an absolute legend. And if you haven't considered following yet, come on, baby. Be a founding member of this channel. Let's make this thing grow. I'm not stopping. So be brave, subscribe, leave a comment and like, and I'll see you in the next reading.